Hello everybody, it's John Hope Bryant, and this is a special broadcast of the John Hope Bryant Live series on Facebook. I'm the John Hope Bryant that is the entrepreneur and the founder of Operation HOPE, which is America's largest, first and largest nonprofit network of organizations committed to financial inclusion, the largest financial inclusion organization and economic empowerment organization in the country, in the United States of America. 3 million clients, over $2.5 billion invested in underserved neighborhoods to date, 25 years in service to communities, founded after the Rodney King riots of 1992. Within Operation HOPE, you have a group of companies, all nonprofits, which include Global Dignity, that we inspired to be its own independent nonprofit organization. And you got these sub-nonprofits like HOPE Inside, Banking on Our Future, hey J.O., hey Danette Hilliard, I see everybody signing on. You have Banking on Our Future with Youth Financial Literacy, HOPE Inside, which I'll talk about here in more detail, HOPE Coalition America, HOPE Business in the Box Academy, which is creating youth entrepreneurs, soon Internship America, HOPE to Internship America, HOPE Core, our volunteer core, 30,000 volunteers. My honor to take time talking to you, by the way. Hey, Tamika. There's about 25 entities within Operation HOPE for a total value of about $30 million a year. And then you have my private business, Bryan Group Ventures, and the most prominent company amongst that is the Promise Homes Company. And then I'm an author. So that's my background. I grew up in South Central LA, Compton, California, and I've been bringing you guys along in this movement, but not telling you all the details. And now today, I'm gonna tell you my magic sauce. I'm gonna tell you why I'm doing all this, why I've been doing all this, why this is important, why I think we're sitting in a moment in history, why history never feels historic when you're sitting in it. Hey, James Jordan of Columbus, Georgia. That history just feels like another day. History making, when you're sitting in a moment in history, it just feels like another day, but that does not mean, hey, Michelle Bryant, that history is not happening right underneath your feet. And what role do you play? I think it's significant in the manufacturing of the history that you want to see in the world. That's the question that we must ask right now. And what role are we playing in that history? How are you leaning in to make a positive difference in your community? And so I'm going to lay out everything that I'm doing today. Hey, is it Sherry Coley? I'm going to lay everything out here briefly in my plan for 2018 and why I've been doing this, why we have 45 million viewers on this Facebook series in the last 20 months. Thank you very much. 500,000, 500,000 followers on this page in the same period of time, 20 months, and growing at 8 to 10,000 followers a week. Why is all this important, and what's the substance underneath it? And you deserve transparency, so I'm going to give you transparency. I'm going to tell you everything. You can ask me questions right here live, and I will answer it for you. So let me get into this. Again, I grew up in South Central LA, Compton, California. Started my first business when I was 10 years old in Compton, California, from my mother, Juanita Smith, mentored by my father, Johnny Smith, a role model by my father, Johnny Smith, who was a business owner. So I modeled what I saw. So all the programs of Operation HOPE really are really a reflection of what happened to me as a youth. And both the good news and the bad news. I was homeless for 6 months of my life. I don't know if you know that, but I was homeless when I was 18 for 6 months of my life. I lost everything. So I understand pain. I understand a 500 credit score because I had a 500 credit score. And I almost filed for bankruptcy when I was 19 years old. So I understand struggle, and I just decided to work my way back from that. Okay, let me get into the civil rights movement, from civil rights to civil rights and why we are here. So civil rights was waged and won in the streets. And it was a function of the 19th and the 20th century for the most part. But we've been fighting for our civil rights really since the 17th century, certainly since slaves came in the United States of America. But in earnest, when the media gave it a voice and it became more organized, that's really the 20th century. So you had Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the southern states of America. You had Gandhi in India. You had Michael Collins in Ireland. You had Nelson Mandela and my friend Desmond Tutu in South Africa. So it wasn't just Dr. King here with blacks in the southern states. It was a global movement really about leveling the playing field, empowering people. You did that with the right to vote. So in the 20th century, you got empowered because you had the right to vote. And so government was a power base, and that's why a lot of people of color went into government service, so they could empower their people. And the way that you got your liberty was the right to vote. It's still important, it's still critically important, but that was a 20th century power base. It was civil rights in the streets, but I'm talking about now civil rights. Hey, Red Crawford, I'm talking about civil rights in the suites. I'm suggesting that the 21st century has shifted from a discussion about government to really a power base that's really about the private sector, about free enterprise, about ownership, about opportunity. Hey, Hope Fife, it's about opportunity, it's about economic empowerment, and that with that economic empowerment comes more liberty. You cannot be free in a free enterprise system unless you understand the system of free enterprise. Or to quote Ambassador Andrew Young, to live in a system of free enterprise and not to understand the rules of free enterprise must be the very definition of slavery. And Dr. King was, Ambassador Andrew Young, my mentor, my play father, was the right arm of Dr. King in the civil rights movement. So we're going to move now from the civil rights movement to the silver rights movement. We're going to move from a movement in the streets about this into a movement in the suites about this. We're going to move from a discussion, hey Renee, about race and the color line to a discussion that's more about class and poverty. And how you can take your life back and giving you the tools to do that. And so what I've been trying to do is creating a whole system of tools to empower you to take your life back. What is Operation Hope's mission? Operation Hope's mission is very simple: to reintroduce you back to yourself. That's it. You're born beautiful. Hey, Brendan from Nigeria, you're born amazing. You're born fantastic, but the world beat the enthusiasm out of you. The world told you that you weren't successful. The world taught you can't and impossible. The world taught you to be negative. The world taught you about race and racism. That was not God or Allah or anything that's wise or loving in the world. That human evil and negative energy and negative people taught you those things. And now we're going to unlearn those things, take those things, unyoke you with those things, and repack you with the tools to allow you to take your life back. So the first thing I started to do, and I'm going to get to the Freedman's Bank here in a minute. Hey, Divine Ford. The first thing I started to do was to write, because I came to the conclusion that without the written text and having something to reference to and drill down on, that discussion was not enough. So I started writing first pamphlets. So this was the first civil rights set. And if you write me an essay of why I should donate this to you, and you address it to Jamie Nelson, J-A-M-I-E, Nelson, N-E-L-S-O-N, if it's compelling, we'll send you a set of these. So this was me at a very early age, Leave No Community Behind. There's a whole series of these pamphlets that I wrote, really are talking about in detail, that's where I talk about racism, talking about the civil rights movement. This goes back to as early as 1996. So that's the first pamphlet, Civil Rights. This was the second volume of Civil Rights that I wrote, and it also includes pamphlets. This is before I started writing books. So this goes back more than 20 years. This was my first published book, published by the same author that published Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I'm trying to see what is Beacon Press out of Boston. I'm trying to figure out what year this was. This is Banking on Our Future, that talks about our youth financial literacy work. I actually don't see the date, 2002. So this book was published in 2002, Financial Literacy for Youth and Their Parents. So if you don't have this book, you want to talk about, hey, Loreto in South Africa, talk about your young people in financial literacy, this is a good book to get. And then from that, I moved on to a fundamental philosophy for yourself, and that's love leadership. I published this in 2009, or it was published for me in 2009. It became a bestseller. Following that, I wrote How the Poor Can Save Capitalism, which is a bestseller, and that was published in, I think it was 2014, if I'm not mistaken. And this really, for the first time, told corporate leaders and told the business community where wealth really comes from. It comes from poor people, that all wealth in the world, that doesn't come from government, contracting, war, crime, hey Zena, that wealth actually comes from poor people who built something out of nothing. Every big company was once a small one. Walmart was once Sam Walton with a pickup truck in a storefront. It's now called the biggest retailer in the world is called Walmart. UPS was Jim Casey with $100 and a bicycle. Now it's one of the 4 largest employers in the world, 400,000 employees. You name the company, and I'll take it back to its roots of being somebody's idea. What's your idea? What are you going to create to change the world? Every invention, including where I drink my water from, including what you're watching this broadcast from, including where you're sitting, a couch or a chair, or sitting at a desk. These were all entrepreneurs that built something out of nothing. And so I came to the conclusion that we never got the memo. This is the book that was just published this year in September, and it's already a bestseller. The memo, that you're not dumb and you're not stupid. It's what you don't know that's killing you, but you think you know. And underneath all this philosophy is the work. So we're not just about being a PhD, we're about being a PhD too. So the Freedman's Bank, I want you to research the Freedman's Bank. I put the link in the note there. The Freedman's Bank was created by Abraham Lincoln. Love you back, Fuji. Thank you very much. Fuji, what country are you from? Kalisa, Fuji Kalisa. Where are you watching this broadcast from? We have people from all over the world, almost every continent now, watching this broadcast. The Freedman's Bank was created by Abraham Lincoln in 1865, March 3rd, 1865. Thank you, Zena. I appreciate that. Tell your workers I give my best there at JetBlue. Just got off a plane coming from New York. The Freedman's Bank was created to teach freed slaves about money by President Abraham Lincoln. Frederick Douglass went on to run the bank, who we know to be an abolitionist, but I know to be a businessman. He owned property in Baltimore, lots of it. It was worth several $1 million. Donated $10,000 of his own money, more like $20 million today, I think that's the right number, to a bank in 1865. He knew it failed, the Freedman's Bank. The Freedman's Bank, do your research on the Freedman's Bank. I'm the only American citizen in the history of this country to rename a building on the White House campus that wasn't a U.S. president. Renamed it from inspired the renaming from the Treasury Annex building, which it was for 100 years, to the Freedman's Bank building, which it is today. Again, research everything I'm telling you. Don't take my word for it. Hey, Marshall Woodland. And the Freedman's Bank's mission was thwarted when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated the next month. By the way, 2 months before, the Freedman's Bank was 40 acres and a mule. So all this history connects together. So then 151 years ago, then you fast forward to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and my mentor, Ambassador Andrew Young, in Memphis, Tennessee, with the third leg of the civil rights movement. It was called the Poor People's Campaign, and that's when Dr. King was assassinated, when he pivoted toward money. We started talking about how to empower poor people, set you free, whether you're white, black, red, brown, or yellow. How do you get some more green? And here's what Dr. King said, and it was a quote: "You cannot legislate goodness, you cannot pass a law to force someone to respect you. The only way to social justice in a capitalist country is economics and ownership." Now, that's a quote you don't hear very much, but that was Dr. King in 1968, and he was assassinated April 4th, 1968. We went to Memphis and got the city of Memphis and the airport to rename or to put a plaque up in the airport in honor of Dr. King's last flight. You go through Memphis Airport, you'll see that plaque that we inspired to get placed there as a marker. I have a replica in my office downtown here in Atlanta, and we're going to help to finish what Dr. King started with the Poor People's Campaign, Hey Benjamin Guy, and what Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln started with the Freedman's Bank. And that leads me to Hope Inside. Hope Inside is, where is my book available, Muhammad? You can probably get it online wherever you are in the world, Muhammad. Muhammad is very easy. Barnes & Noble, CEO Read, 800 CEO Read, Amazon. It's on audio, it's on digital. I read the book. You can also get physical copies, all my books. And so the Hope Inside network, so here are the books that I told you about. That was my first one. That was the second one. This was the third one. And this is the current book, the memo. And these were pamphlets I wrote 20 plus years ago, a pamphlet series. So I've been at this for a long time, and so I know what I'm talking about. You're in Minnesota. Okay, you can definitely get it from a bookstore. Get Sexy by Being Smart, Zena says, exactly. Hey, Felicia Banks. Good morning to you from, like you're in London? You're in London. Where are you at, Felicia Banks? I don't see the city. So the vision for Hope Inside was to finish what Abraham Lincoln started by putting 1,000 locations by the year 2020 across this country, black and brown neighborhoods, white rural neighborhoods, black and brown urban neighborhoods, to remove the issue of race from our dialogue, to understand this real issue is economics, it's creating jobs and economic fear that's dividing us, causing us to blame each other and point fingers at each other. Hey, Anthony Foster. And so we put in place a strategy in 2013, 2014 called HOPE Inside. We said we're going to open 1,000 HOPE Inside locations, finish with the Freedman's Bank started, raise credit scores 120 points in 24 months, because nothing changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 120 points. Can I get an amen? And that model, which now has 102 locations open to date, we have a philosophy of no loans denied. We will keep working with you until we get to a point where you are approved. You heard that right. No loans denied. We're operating inside of a bank branches. SunTrust Banks has put us into their bank branches. We have a contract with them for over 200 locations. Thank SunTrust and Bill Rogers for being a visionary, and Jim Wells to let us in the SunTrust bank branches. So we're now in the bank branch. So when you go in there to apply for a loan, if you don't qualify, you can go 10 feet over to our area, and we don't work for the bank. We have different criteria, and we can work with you in ways the bank can't because of the law. The way the law set up to get you to a point where you are approved for a loan. Hey, Des Davis. And so we get your credit score up 60 points, 80 points, 100 points, 120 points. And then we walk you back over to the bank, to the bank teller, to the bank manager. We walk you back over to the loan officer. And we make sure you have your financial literacy. We make sure that we've been counseling. We make sure that we've got your credit score. We make sure that you're prepared. Whether you're a small business owner, you want to become a homeowner, you want to become an entrepreneur, whether you're a student trying to go to college, we really help you get tuned up, get your software upgraded, and we walk you over to the bank branch so we can get you a yes, to get the bank out of the no business and back into the yes business. So SunTrust Bank was the first one to do that. Then First Tennessee Bank stood up, and we're in 10% of the First Tennessee branches. Hey, Robert, he says that the memo is powerful. Thanks. Zena Knox. I guess Zena's starting a skincare line. Is that what I'm reading there? It's fantastic. Make sure you put your website there, Zena, if that's correct. Her brother has a restaurant in New York, which I'm going to go visit next time I go there. Really fantastic human being. And so we're in the First Tennessee Bank branches, 10% of their bank branches. We're in Regions Bank. They just made a commitment of 100 HOPE Inside locations inside of Regions Bank branches. I'm going to tell you where you can find us. We are in Synovus Bank branches. We're in BB&T Bank branches, trying to become more presence. We're in One West Bank branches in California. We are in some Union Bank branches. We're in Bank of the West Bank branches. We are in Fulton Bank branches. We're in Mutual of Omaha Bank branches. We're in Whole Foods, 2 Whole Foods locations, trying to expand there. Hey, James, yes, a shout out to Synovus. We are in Hyatt hotels, 2 Hyatt hotels. Or we're in Oklahoma, Tanya Collins. Not in Oklahoma yet, but it is on our list. We're in New Jersey, I know, for Hope, in Newark, New Jersey, with a HOPE Inside location inside of the Whole Foods there. We are in Detroit Medical Center in Detroit, Michigan, part of Tenet Healthcare System. We're in St. Louis City Hall with City Treasurer Tashara Jones there, and also in the Regions Bank in Jennings, right outside of Ferguson, Missouri, where that horrible tragedy happened in Ferguson, Missouri. Yes, Tanya, we're coming, not to worry. We are in, doing this by memory, we are in Atlanta Police Department because the police officers are filing for bankruptcy at double the national average. They have a gun, a badge, a $50,000 or less income, and they're stressed out over money. Sean wants me to speak on the rule on 72. I'll do that in another video. Anywhere in Florida, Juanita says, yes, we're in many locations in Florida. We're in a lot of SunTrust branches in Florida. Just go to operationhope.org and pull up the locations that are near you and go get your silver rights. The services are all free to you. There's no cost to any of our services. Nobody should be charging you money to file, telling you to file bankruptcy. Nobody should be charging you money to fix your credit. You can't fix your credit. You've got to revitalize your credit. You've got to renew your credit by renewing your mind, work with our people within the law to get your credit restored. If you have a credit score of 500 or you haven't checked your credit score like most people in several years, I guarantee you there's an error on your credit report, and that error, once you fix it, we can show you how to do it within 30 days. That's good for 20 to 30 to 40 point pop on your credit score. That one thing alone. Charge-offs, we can help you with that. If you have a bill you didn't pay, we can help you with that. We can help you to go and renegotiate with that creditor. Sometimes it's as little as 5 cents on the dollar they want to be paid if it's something that's owed. And we'll help to get it removed off your credit report. All these services are free. There's no cost to them. Stop being cynical and make the phone call to Operation Hope, or go online to operationhope.org. Hope 5 just put the website in the comments. Go and get your silver rights. We are, as I mentioned, in Hyatt hotels here in Atlanta, and I think the other one's in Chicago, helping their employees. There's one housekeeper that became a homeowner because of us, and there was an engineer there that became a homeowner because of us. You can't fix a charge-off, Tanya. We just work with you. I can't tell you here because of privacy issues how we do it, but this is our software. It's like saying, how does an iPhone work? This is what we do. Just come into one of our offices and they will work with you to empower you to remove it. We will work with you. We'll help you do the work. We'll write the letters for you, dispute things, but you will work with us as a partnership because we want to give you a hand up and not a handout. We want to teach you how to fish and not just give you a fish. I'm sure you can appreciate that. We want to respect you enough to give you the tools to know that you did it for yourself. And when your credit score rises, your self-esteem rises, your confidence rises, your faith rises, your optionality rises, and all of a sudden you're not black for a living, you're not poor white for a living, you're not Latino for a living, you're not Asian for a living, you're not Indian for a living, you are empowered for a living. You are a great leader who happens to be black. You're a great leader who happens to be Latino or Asian or Indian, or if you're or poor white. But once you understand these philosophies, you're actually not poor anymore. You just don't have any money, and you can be transformed, or you can transform your own life and then begin to live your dreams. 44% of African Americans in this country have a credit score below 620. I'm going to repeat that. 44% of African Americans in this country have a credit score below 620. So it doesn't matter if you're fighting for your civil rights, with all due respect. It doesn't matter if you're fighting for the respect for Freddie Gray, which is important. It doesn't matter if you're fighting for the respect of Michael Brown, which is important. It doesn't matter if you're fighting against police brutality, which is important. It doesn't matter if you're fighting against the Ku Klux Klan, which is important. It doesn't matter if you're fighting against backwards politicians, which is important. It doesn't matter if you think that your biggest problem is racism and discrimination or bias. All those things are important. None of that stuff matters because you can't access the credit markets. You've been locked out of the credit markets. You cannot listen to me now, you cannot get a decent home loan with a credit score below 620. You cannot. You cannot get a small business loan at all. Listen to me now. Don't even apply. If you have a credit score below 620, unless you're being robbed blind by an interest rate that is guaranteed that you will fail, you cannot get a small business loan with a credit score below 600. Certainly not 620. The SBA, Small Business Administration, that even backs it, needs a credit score that's at or above that. You cannot become an entrepreneur. You cannot get anybody to financial dreams. You cannot get a bank to back you. It has nothing to do with racism. They can't tell you, hey, Sergio Ward, I'm not running for president in 2020, but I'm honored you keep saying that. That you cannot get a credit score, get an approval with a credit score that's below 620. So all the other stuff you're dreaming about and all the stuff you want to do and what you want your children to do. By the way, half of employers won't hire you until they run your credit. If your credit is toast, they're not going to hire you, and they're certainly not going to put you in a position of some authority or credibility or around money. So you've got to understand your civil rights. You understand your civil rights. Now you have to understand your silver rights. And that's what we're trying to help you with. And what we found is there's a direct correlation between credit scores and the health of a community. That's right. That every community that has a 500 credit score or below is where all your problems are. It's where your homicides are. It's where your drug habits are. It's where your crime is. It's where your, your homicides, your gang infestation, your low high school equivalency, the high school graduation rates, the low levels of higher education, folks not going to college, the low levels of small business creation, low levels of entrepreneurship, low levels of GDP, gross domestic product, economic empowerment. Yes, Gina is saying there, this is no joke. That whether you're white, rural, or black and brown urban, a 500 credit score below neighborhood means you have a check casher next to a payday loan lender, next to a rent-to-own store, next to a title lender, next to a liquor store, and they're all feeding on your depression, your financial literacy, and the fact that you never got the memo. And this is what we missed. This is what we missed when Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln could not finish the legacy of the Freedmen's Bank. We were never brought back into the free enterprise system. You have 35 million African Americans, about 40 million Latinos, about 30 million poor whites in this country, and our population of Native American Indian brothers and sisters and struggling middle class people who are not dumb and they're not stupid. It's what they don't know that they don't know that's killing them, but they think they know. And because you think you know and you're not succeeding, no matter how hard you work, you aren't getting ahead, you're convinced that this system is rigged. It's not, well, it is rigged. It's rigged against people who never got the memo. But it's not some conspiracy to keep you down because nobody has time to sit on your chest every day and keep you from going and take your life back. They just assume that you're ignorant and you're not going to go get wisdom and you're not going to do enlightenment. You're not going to read books like this. You're going to just keep blaming other people for your problems and getting emotional and getting distracted, and which means you're getting off your game because whenever you get emotional, you're going to lose. You've got to start getting even by getting smart and succeeding and not bleeding. So we have got to get on the right path, Ahmad, as Ahmed just said. We've got to get back on the right path. We've got to get our mind straight. And we've got to go to places that can help us change our life. That's why I've charted to open 1,000 HOPE Inside locations by the year 2020. Become the Starbucks of financial inclusion. That's my goal. We have 102 locations operational to date. It's not a dream. So I said I'd do it in 2013. We got the Freedmen's Bank renamed in January of 2016 with Secretary Jack Lew. The Treasury Department renaming the Freedmen's Bank building. Look it up on your phone. And the only American citizen ever to rename a building on the White House campus that wasn't a president. And then we then moved to action on the ground. And we're opening these HOPE Inside locations in these banks, credit unions, bank branches, big box retailers, houses of faith, hotels, city halls. We're opening one in Atlanta public school system for the teachers and the people who work there. We're going to open one at UPS for the drivers and people who work there. We're negotiating with Delta for the ramp workers and the airline flight attendants and the folks who work there. We're going to be in employers and we're going to be retail as well. We have a lot of negotiations going on to open the other 900 locations to go for our goal for 1,000 by the year 2020. And we have orders right now for about 500 additional locations. And we just have to open them. We'll be opening a bunch more in the year 2018. So I have a word every year. My word this year is execution. My word last year was to curate. My word the year before that was intentionality. My word before that was authenticity. My word next year for 2018 is scale. 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 We're going to scale this mission up. We're going to put Hope Business in the Box Academies, Oxon Hill, Ahmed said. I'll put that on my list, Ahmed. We're going to scale this movement up. Hope Business in the Box Academies in public schools, teaching children financial literacy through Banking Our Future, a course in dignity through our Global Dignity Alliance, teaching them about their self-esteem and their confidence and their history, giving them their financial literacy, and then teaching about entrepreneurship, challenging them to start a business. There's a video on here that's over 1 million views just on Hope Business in the Box Academy. So go through all the videos in the library and go and watch the videos with your family you haven't seen yet. There's a whole library of empowerment I've created for you for free. 44 million, almost 45 million views to date. It's free to you. Don't let anybody rob you in broad daylight. Go change your mind and upgrade your software. Don't just go watch the Kardashians. No disrespect intended to the Kardashians or Hip Hop Atlanta or whatever, or the Housewives or whatever. Make sure you put an hour aside every day to upgrade your mind. Watch my videos. Watch, there's I don't want to start calling out names. There's a range of empowerment leaders that you should be watching to retrain your brain, retrain your mind, and upgrade your software, because people are hiding your prosperity from you in broad daylight. And I'm telling you how to help to set yourself free. Hey, you, Bridget Washington. Hey, Harriet. When I tell people, what are you doing when the Klan is sleeping? What are you doing when the people who are oppressing you are actually at work, at their dead-end job? what are you doing? Sitting around waiting for them? You've got to get up and take your life back and simply outrun failure. I tell folks, I'm not going to hit you with a brick. I'm going to simply pass this and hit you with my American Express black card and knock you out. And I'm going to do it with love, respect, and a smile on my face. And you've got to learn to take your life back. You've got to learn to live a life of love and justice and dignity and respect. And as they say in South Africa, Ubuntu, I am me because you are you. That you've got to love your brothers and sisters because wherever goes around, comes around, but you've got to start with loving yourself. If you don't love yourself, you cannot love anybody else because it all starts with you. As I keep saying, you hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th. So we're going to start with banking on our future. We're in 4,000 public schools with banking on our future, teaching checking, savings, credit, investment, history of banking. We're in at least 100 schools with HOPE Business in a Box academies. And now, I meant like that, knock them out with my black card. And now we have these 100 plus HOPE Inside locations with orders for 500 locations going in banks and other places around the country, get the bank out of the no business and back into the yes business. It is a lie to suggest that banks don't want to give you a loan. That's not true. Banks can't make any money unless you're giving you a loan. But they will not give you a loan at a 500 credit score. They will not, and in the absence of any other wisdom, we call that discrimination. So we got to get the bank in position where, by the way, are there some racist banks? Yes, they are. We try to work with reputable institutions that are publicly traded and have a good reputation, and we work with the regulators as well. And when they are doing something that's unhealthy for our communities, we call them out for that also. So we are the advocate for the poor, the underserved, the working class, the teetering class, folks with too much month at the end of their money. We're an honest broker. That's what we do. We're a Charity Navigator 4-star organization, which is like the Better Business Bureau. So we're the top tier of all nonprofits in the country, where 81 cents of every dollar goes into empowering people and changing lives. Not for paying for stupid people like me, or for going to services that empower you. Check us out. Go to Charity Navigator and check Operation HOPE out. Don't take my word for it. All our financials are online. Check that out. Go look on the internet and search for complaints for Operation HOPE. You won't find them because we work hard to bridge the gap and make sure we're an honest broker helping people take their life back. This is the new movement, ladies and gentlemen, but it's not going to be broadcast on TV. It's not going to be something dramatic with a march of 10,000 people down the street. This is going to be a march of civil rights in the suites, not civil rights in the streets. We've got to change our mind, upgrade our software, and begin to operate in our lives differently. So I wanted to lay out, I didn't lay out everything we're doing. I didn't talk about Hope Coalition America, which is our emergency disaster response partnership with FEMA and Homeland Security and American Red Cross. I didn't talk about what I'm doing in 9 other parts of my life. I didn't talk about the Hope Global Forums and our annual meeting in March of 3,500 delegates, the largest meeting of its kind in the world. I didn't talk about so many things that Operation HOPE is doing, the 30,000 volunteers that are Hope Corps volunteers, all the many countless partners that help us do what we do. There's so many folks I left out that are so helpful to our mission and our work. Our partnership with Mutual of Omaha Bank, our partnership with Bank of America, our partnership with Wells Fargo, our partnership with the Urban League, working locally, our partnerships with the NAACP, our work on the ground in many public school systems, Atlanta Public Schools here in Atlanta, LA Unified School District, Detroit Public School System. There's just so much in what we do. Check us out and then go get the memo and take your life back. All right, I'm out. That's enough for today. I got to go to the office and go to work. I hope this has been helpful. I really tried to break this down in detail, what we do, how we do it, and how we're going to go from civil rights to civil rights, from the FREEDMAN'S Bank to the HOPE Inside Network, the Starbucks of financial inclusion. Every neighborhood should have a HOPE Inside location within driving distance of your home that helps you to sort out your financials with a HOPE financial coach and take your life back. It should be as common as Starbucks, and that's my goal. By the year 2020, Kevin, thank you very much. That by the year 2020, that Operation HOPE should be a household name and as common as Starbucks to help you take your life back. If you agree, give us and our employees and our partners an amen. Give us some positive energy on this video and share it widely. Let's make this video go viral. I'm out.